June 28th, 1998 is when I started at TPC.
Yeah. Cut that part out.
We'll be talking over each other.
We do anyway, so.
I got excused from the trial. That's good.
Do we really want to talk about this? All right, important stuff to know about wire and cable. Let's roll.
Yeah. The Thermoset product line was on board here at TPC before I even came on board myself. But the main purpose of that product, two things. There's a couple things that drive this. That was the initial insulation back in the 50s, back in the 40s that everybody used because they really didn't develop a lot of thermoplastic materials. Rubbers were big back then. So those are the types of materials that were just readily available and very inexpensive as well, as far as the materials are concerned. Now, the reason we stayed with that, a lot of people haven't stayed with rubber, but the reason we stay with the rubber is because of the industries we're in. Some of the abuses that the rubber can handle. Heat, it could take some heat. It could take a huge amount of abrasion. You could drag it across the ground. And it's great for flexibility too. So you guys want to jump in?
I was just going to say, I remember it a little bit differently. I started in 1988, so which is sort of fairly close to 10 years out from when the company started. But it was started as part of Cadillac Electric. And I think at the time, the founders of the company, they had a relationship with a particular manufacturer that focused on rubber products. So I'm sort of guessing that's what got us into rubber products, is because of those relationships. And I think at the time, I think there were a lot of PVC products out in the marketplace that didn't perform very well.
Correct.
Because they just weren't, the PVCs were not that developed at the time. So they tended to dry out and crack and fall apart in a relatively short period of time, where the rubbers held up much, much better. So I think that's what sort of got us into that. But to Tim's point, I think when you got into the industries that we're in, rubber just generally holds up much better, especially if you're getting into, we were calling originally on, if you look at, our main customers, which are somewhat similar to what they are today, it was the metal fabrication, steel mills, foundries, and then the automotive plants. And with steel mills and foundries, thermoplastics, tended to melt when the environment got very hot, and rubber doesn't. Rubber will, if it gets too hot, it'll burn, but it won't melt. And so they held up much, much better. And then again, in the automotive space that we were involved with, the plastics, they were exposed to oils, coolants, things like that, and then they tended to fail fairly quickly. Again, rubber held up much better.
Yeah, they said everything exactly as I was going to say it. but no, also to add to that, the nice thing about the rubber stuff was it's the regulatory. So we had the S cords, which got us into the Class 1 Div 1 stuff if needed. The performance of it, I think, was the key factor, at least for TPC. Like you guys were saying, abrasion resistant. Look at our E1. You can't do that with the thermoplastic. Well, you could. It would have a disastrous result.
It sure would.
So we beat on it with a hammer, et cetera, et cetera. So that was kind of the key to showing our customers, buy our product instead of the competition. It's going to hold up a little bit better. And so I think that was probably some of it as well.
I think the amazing thing is the E1. I did the E1 when I started with the company. And it's virtually the same E1 that we do today. So that's something, it's been around, 38 years, and it was around before I started. So it's kind of interesting.
And what's interesting about that too is like when I was in the field more, we would talk to customers and they'd say, you're the guys that burn the cable. It wasn't, oh, you're TPC. It's, you're the guys who burn the cable. Which I guess if you're going to be remembered, you might as well be remembered for something. But it would have been preferable to say, oh, TPC, I know you guys. You got that really good cable. No, it's, you're the guys that burn the cable. So.
Well, whenever you pull out a torch in a factory environment, it attracts a lot of attention.
Yeah, it does, yeah. So, good to be remembered for something.